Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Because 318 is taking so long, as we all know, I tend to start bringing on creators and getting to know them and doing less of the let's talk about this topic in Star Citizen that's hot right now, because there are no hot topics, in my opinion, at least, to really dive into for a podcast like this. So I start bringing on people that are, doing cool things and people you might want to get to know. And today we have VoiDude. And VoiDude, welcome. How's everything?
Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for
Um,
having me.
the first thing I need to know is, what is your relationship with Zero State? And I'm going to let you know I'm pretty jealous. So what's happening here?
Zero State, man, he's just what a guy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't actually get to watch him live very often. He's at a very awkward time space for me. But the stuff that I have seen of him and the short like kind of streams and stuff that I do get to catch, the dude's just he pulls off that magic, that Star Citizen magic that happens very rarely, but it happens, and when it does happen, it's amazing.
Yep.
And he's just, I don't know if he's the best pilot in the game, but from what I've seen, like, I don't know, the kinds of stunts and stuff that he's pulled off, like, I'm not much of a dogfighter guy. You can see in the videos, there's not much dogfighting or that kind of stuff going on. But I aspire to do that eventually one day.
He's certainly had some, if not the most, but some of the most viral piloting moments. Like him and oh man, the French guy, I'm losing my mind here. Tarada. Tarada have both had some pretty incredible moments. Like Zero was on the top of r/like gaming for Star Citizen, which is insane. You cannot do that with Star Citizen. It's not easy. He did some crazy maneuvers and landed on top of a building. It looked crazy. That's my first experience with Zero, actually.
Yeah,
that's how
I think it was actually same as me, dude. I think it was there was a little in-game competition to go through Microtech and do that insane little thing that they set up, and then he did this flawless landing on top of one of the buildings.
Yeah, and it was just like, whoa, this guy's nuts.
But Tarada and them, the French Star Citizen community is wild, dude. Like I saw something pop up on Twitter the other day, and these guys, there was like maybe 2 or 3 moles busy cruising through, I don't know what planet it was, what moon it was on. They had these moles firing lasers and dudes running around in FPS. There was a tank. It looked like something from Terminator. It was like insane. So yeah, Tarada also, like whenever you see his stuff, dude, he's just low flying and like, I mean, I don't understand low flying. I don't get it, but it looks impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, one day when I'm a big boy, I'll invest in those sticks and, like try my hand at the whole, the enthusiast level stuff that so many Star Citizens tend to sort of gravitate towards. But for now, no, it's not my vibe right now.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're here and we're talking about other people. So, for me, my history with you goes back very far to being a chatter, and like one of the chat, like your name. I don't there's names that people will come up to me sometimes at a Bar Citizen. I'm like, yeah, I remember that name, but like you've been around for so long, for the days when I didn't have 200 viewers. It was when I had 50. You're around in those days. So you've been around the community for a long time. What's your history with Star Citizen, and then, from that, when did you start making content, and what inspired you to start doing it?
So I found out about the project. I found out about it from friends, like literally word of mouth kind of a thing.
Okay.
And I think it was like, as the pledges were about to change, like if I look into my account now, I actually did have a look at it the other day. It's a 2013 account, which is when I signed up, but I don't know if that's when I pledged. I think the pledge was maybe about 2014, 2015. And it was just like, I got one of the Auroras or whatever that had like the Squadron 42 and the PU combined. So I was like, sweet, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And then from there, just kind of very closely followed the project. I was one of those guys who was logging into the hangar module and, walking around. And even back then, I don't know if you remember, you might have been in the same sort of scope of like, you could actually modify the game and load up like any ship you wanted and like walk around the hangar module and stuff like that.
I didn't know
like,
that.
I used to do that. Like I used to load up the Cutlass, used to load up, I think I never... I've seen an Andromeda, like, what's it called? The RSI Andromeda and stuff like that. Seen that stuff in game, dude, it blew my mind. Back then, I was like, because, I understood the vision. I was like, I bought into everything. I was like, man, this is great. It's what is this game going to be one day? Sure, it's going to take a long time, but you kind of stick through it. And then, I mean, you know how it went. It was just like
just
year after year after
two
year.
more years, Void. That's it. That's all we
Yeah,
need.
2 more years. That's it, weird. And I think 2016 was the part, the time when I think there was like the Squadron 42 trailer, and they started announcing dates and stuff. And yeah, things changed. But the thing is, I'm not. There was like I was just happy to have like Carrier come to the game, right? The first time, like back in the day when it was like Crusader was a big ass texture in the background, and you had Carrier, and I remember like flying. I think that's the first. I actually did a bit of content back then.
Okay.
It's not on the same YouTube channel as it is now. It was a different YouTube channel that was like different times.
Yeah.
And I remember just getting into some random guy's cutlass because nobody would like open the chat, right? Chat wasn't open by default in that patch. It was like the first 3.0 patch or something like that. Yeah. And nobody would communicate. Everybody would like run to their ships, get ships, and go do stuff. But the game was a complete slideshow. It doesn't matter what system you had, it was a slideshow.
Yeah, we had no voice either.
Yeah, no voice, no nothing. It was so difficult to cooperate with anybody in the game. And I actually had footage, it's on a YouTube channel somewhere out there, of getting into a cutlass with like some dude that just met because he was, savvy enough to like open chat. We flew over to Korea and we had like a gunfight with like some other people who were already there. And I was like, this is what we've been waiting for,
Yeah.
And like, little did we know at the time that it's going to take a, much longer sort of trek to get to even where we are now, I guess. But I'm not too fussed or disturbed by the progress. And I might be a bit of a disgusting optimist in that regard because, and this might not be the best reason, but I look at it and I see like, man, there's nothing really, no other games really trying to do this. And that's not a good thing because it kind of says like, oh, well, we've got a monopoly on this type of experience that you're able to have. So we can get away with whatever the fuck we want, which is true to a degree, but it's the truth at the end of the day. There aren't many other games coming out. And that's what I find sad. I don't find it sad that Star Citizen isn't out or in a version 1 release or further along than it could be or should be. I find it sad that there aren't 10 other projects of the same scope being developed in the game industry today. That's what I find
pushing each other, or
exactly.
whatever. But
we know how it is, man. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're saying like you're. I might be this big optimist, but why I gravitate to your content is, I don't look at it as like I'm this huge optimist. I look at it as you're showing what the game can do, and you're proving that it is not as bad as I may feel that it is at times. Like, look at the fun that he has. I can have that sort of fun. It's like almost inspiring, right? Is that like, yeah, these things are possible. You can do these things. Maybe they don't happen all the time. Maybe you have to go search for them. You have to do a little bit of effort to get there, but they're there. Obviously, you're a grade A Jumptonian for that reason, right? It's one of the best. It's one of the best places to experience the things that Star Citizen can be.
That Jumptown signaled the biggest shift in the type of content that I wasn't producing content regularly or trying hard at this whole YouTube thing. But when Jumptown came out, the first, or Jumptown 2.0, right? I did experience some of the old school Jumptown before they physicalized the boxes and all that stuff, which was, that was probably the only cool thing you could do at the game. If you'd seen everything, that was the only thing you could do in the game, right?
Yeah.
But when Jumptown 2.0 went live for the first time, that's when I was like, I played it and I knew what to kind of expect. Like I'd wrapped my head around like what they did, and the experiences there that I had were just so. It became that emergent gameplay that everybody had been kind of talking about that was possible, because it's Jumptown is just like, oh, here's a marker, go do the thing, and a casual player might be like, cool, I've got the marker, I'm going to go do the thing, but they don't quite understand the gravity of what's possible there, right? Yeah. Even though the game is just saying, here's the thing you do, there's so like, the thievery, the sneaking aboard people's ships and all that kind of stuff. It blew my mind, dude. And like, no 2 trips to Jumptown would be the same.
Ever.
But at the end of the day, you make one video that highlights all this cool stuff, but 90% of your actual experience is going there and getting fucking wrecked by some, guy in a Gladius or whatever, you know what I mean?
Or an A2.
And I'm or an A2, yeah. And that, I don't know, man. My history with gaming, I've been playing games my whole life, and I come from that. I wouldn't consider myself, I'm a hardcore gamer or whatever, but it's like we growing up, high school days, whatever, you have your friends, and we played games to be competitive, or we wouldn't consider ourselves casual, right? Yeah. And that kind of translates to the attitude I have in Star Citizen, where to me, it's like coming from a game like Battlefield, right? I played like most Battlefield games growing up, and these are fantastic experiences. They're the thing that were close enough to give you like this non-scripted experience in a game where nobody said, "Cool, we're going to animate the helicopter to come in like this and explode next to you," and like a linear story-driven experience, right? This is like now it's like anything can happen because everybody can get in a helicopter and anything can happen, whatever. I see Star Citizen as like, okay, cool, it's like Battlefield, but like now there's no round-based combat. It's just like, cool, here's a universe, like go, or a solar system, whatever, like go play. To me, that is incredibly appealing, right? Sorry, I'm going a bit all over the map here, but
no, but I mean that, like I said, we're gonna go where we go, and I'm with you on this. Where I've been overly, kind of critical of the direction and the progress and certain things, but I couldn't be happier with what I'm seeing now because of they took what Jumptown was, and I think made it easier to have really cool, different, and like the experiences that you described there. And now they're taking it, and we're seeing it in other parts of the game where it's kind of like,
dude.
hey,
Yes.
guys, go over here and let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
SBK, we're hearing about salvage missions, mining, like they're listening, and it feels so exciting. Where I don't feel the way that I did about the project before. I am optimistic. I am excited that I am going to have more fun than I've had in the past. And
to be honest, that's how I feel. Like even though we've had all these previous patches, and it's like however many years later, this is the first patch that would pretty much guarantee. Okay, I mean, maybe that's a strong word, but it pretty much says, every time you log in, you could probably have some kind of meaningful gaming experience, right? And I think that's what's crucial, right? It's I think I kind of caught a little bit of the stream beforehand when you were watching a Citizen Kate video, and it was like talking about like, oh, does the money mean anything yet, kind of a thing. And like my attitude towards that is like, when Jumptown's on, even if money doesn't really matter, we know that there's going to be however many wipes left until like there's a beta or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
For that patch cycle, dude, like Jumptown's running, man, money means a lot to me. Like I want to, it's the goal, it's the objective. If Jumptown's live, I want to sell as much maize as possible, even though it might not be meta or like the actual most optimal way to play the game. Doing that is like crucial, right? It's the goal, and then that makes for good content. It makes but it's not even about the content. It's about, I want to play the game that way because that's how I feel. I play with a bunch of like-minded guys. I think Kyosa might be there. Somebody's a great guy. They who also want to achieve the same thing. It's like, we want to get the maize no matter what. We're all going to become a bunch of fucking dickheads for a while because we will do anything it takes to get the maize. And that makes for the best experiences in this game, dude. And the thing is, that's why Jumptown is so good, even though, and the whole PvP griefing, that situation, I'd love to touch a little bit on that a little bit later.
Sure.
But that, theme Jumptown differently. Move it into space. Take it somewhere else. Put it on a salvage ship, right? Because that essentially what pirates will be doing in 3.18 is, if salvage is lucrative enough, every reclaimer is potentially just a mobile Jumptown, right? It's the same concept of gameplay of, you're just moving physical boxes. You're planning a hit. You're figuring out how you're going to ascertain your goal, sell all the maize, whatever it is. Do you have a crime stat? Don't you have a crime stat? It's like all these little minor complexities just add to the emergent gameplay, which I'm fully in love with at the moment, right? And yeah, that's kind of how I feel. So sorry, what I was saying about Jumptown is like, it's the first thing that happened in Star Citizen where it actually put all the little components in the game together into one place and said, now you can actually play the game, right?
And it was
but then it gets labeled.
It was simple from a game development
Yeah.
standpoint. That was the best part. It was simple. It was repeatable. It was just go here. That's it. That's all they essentially had to do. Obviously, there was so much more. They built the location, and the boxes come out. Like, I don't want to take away from the work that was done there, but it was much simpler than a lot of the, dynamic events that we were getting. It's not Xenothreat, which is insane. But like, to touch on money and that quickly on that, what's different about the way you described it from, I think, the way that I describe it, but are also like very much the same, where you want to get as much maize as possible. Well, yeah, money sort of matters, but money is just keeping score in that scenario, right? That's how I look at it. It's like, I won Jumptown because, well, this time I I did Jumptown and we made 5 million credits. Last time we only made 4 or whatever, So there's a
Mm.
way of keeping score in that way. Yes, but in the grand scheme of the game, yes, you're getting people to go to Jumptown because money, a good opportunity to make money, whatever. Uh, but I just still look at like people always go and about the Kate comment was people will always say, well, they need to make this more valuable. They need to give more money to it, and that's what will make it better. But they don't
Mm.
realize that that's not what makes it better. The value needs to come from like its usefulness and these other things. That's my opinion on those things. Do you
100%.
do
I
you
think, yeah,
smoke the maze? No, right? Like it's not useful in that way, but it is useful for keeping score,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's what makes it special. Same with the
yeah,
boxes at SPK, I think. And salvage, like you
yeah.
steal from people. We made 2 million off of this piracy heist. So you
Yes,
can
yes,
label how much you won, right? But the
yeah, yeah. So,
actual dollar amount doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, number one priority, if you're playing the game, try to have fun, right? That's number
Exactly.
one. Number two, if that's like some kind of auxiliary or like complementing element to it, yes, your fake space money bank account is going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then everything else kind of follows behind. But I mean, that's something I haven't really considered. I don't think, I think that that's incredibly important, is the value on things that aren't just credits, right? Like rare armor or this or that or the other. And that's a whole nother discussion that I think I caught a little bit of it a while ago, where you guys were talking about
I mean,
I
it's
don't know,
essentially
weapons.
crafting. That's where, for me,
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is.
But the idea of like, is this game going to one day have tiers of weapons? Like, is one sniper rifle going to be better than another sniper rifle? How do you make loot interesting and all that kind of stuff? And the thing is, Star Citizen, as it exists, has got a lot of cool things going for it, where it doesn't have to be that type of MMO. It doesn't have to be that game where it's like, okay, cool, I've got a purple sniper rifle, you've got a green one. The purple one's better because of some arbitrary statistic, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the draw for a lot of people. It's like, we don't want another theme park MMO type experience, because those have become very stale over the years, and people want these new super games, to push the boundaries and do interesting things, right? Like, and it's taking its sweet flipping time, but like, what can you do? The only thing I can really think of to make loot interesting is, and I mean, now we're talking like down the road, pie in the sky type things, where it's like, oh, you get durability, or you get modifications, and that kind of stuff. I can absolutely see them doing stuff like that, which would be super flipping interesting. Like, if you knew you had a sniper rifle and it's rare, or a railgun and it's rare, and it's got a finite lifespan, and if it collapses one day because the durability meter goes to zero,
Yeah.
now what do? Do you have the tools at your disposal to fix it? Is it worth fixing? Is it better to try and find a new one? All that kind of stuff. And then that's going to lead to more emergent gameplay, man. Like, that's pretty exciting. So yeah, I don't know. It's
I
it's a,
take
it's a
it
big thing.
Yeah, I take it from a slightly different. I like that, but I take it from a slightly different perspective of, let's give examples of what we have in game now. The cold suit or the hot suit, right?
Yeah.
Is you don't have to go. I hope I never come off as someone who's looking for like yellow, purple, green, blue type
No, I don't think you did.
weapons.
I think
Okay,
it was part of the conversation. It's worth
good, good,
talking
good.
about.
Just making sure that I wasn't like falling into that, because that's not what I ever want Star Citizen to be, and
Mm.
I never want to communicate that. The communication that I always want to put out there is what the direction that they seem to be going in anyway is choice. So I know I'm going to go here and do these things. I know I'm going to Jumptown. I know Jumptown is on Yella, and I need to have cold armor. I need to have hand warmers. I need to have weapons that do well in cold, maybe. And I know that because people are probably going to be wearing these types of armors, this type of ammo would be effective against those. And maybe it's hard to find those. Maybe they're more expensive. Maybe they're rare, but they're on these NPC. Pirates have lots of it over here. So you go there and you're doing NPC missions to get them. That's sort of what I mean, is the usefulness comes from a place where players are willing to like go out and do things, and then other players who aren't will pay those players to do that kind of stuff, and then everybody starts becoming useful for each other. The items are useful for, and like I just that's the MMO experience that I do want to bring into Star Citizen from like theme park games, not
Mm-hmm.
the go farm the same boss for the 500th time and hopefully the good weapon drops,
Yeah,
um
it,
not
it
really
it makes
looking
a lot
for
of
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I mean it's kind of there. I think we're they're aiming towards a good place where I think I mentioned something similar on Space Models chat where it's like you don't rock up into Star Citizen and choose a class, right? It kind of happens organically based on what you want to do. But that's just a difference of what I have equipped versus what you have equipped, which doesn't seem like a big deal. But in
Yeah.
certain situations, it could become a big deal because if you're equipped to be like a med runner or something, and you're just decked out with like medical stuff, because you heal people often, maybe there will be gameplay one day where you do end up healing people fairly frequently, and you don't just as it is now, anybody can be a medic very quickly and very easily.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, a better example might actually be tractoring. You're ready to
Okay.
now go tractor a whole bunch of stuff. One day, charge, drain, feature, whatever it's called, is going to be active, and you're going to run out. You're not going to be able to tractor stuff forever. You're going to have to reload that tractor beam. It's only going to be effective to a degree. Now you're decked out in tractor stuff. Now you get attacked very quickly by somebody else because you don't have like much. You've got maybe a pistol on you. Maybe there's like a two-handed tractor beam. I don't know what the whole this example is
They
about.
have shown
But
one. It does
yeah, I think
exist.
they did. Yeah, true. It's like concept. But in that situation, you're not kitted out to be like a marine, or you're not kitted out to like
Yeah.
fly. Or because you're flying because you're the pilot as well, you might not be decked out with armor, even kind of a thing. So I think organically, people will flesh out and fill these roles, which is super cool, right? That's you.
Oh, okay. He's
Oh
here.
no,
He's still
whatever.
here. I thought you blacked
Sorry.
out. No, I
No,
thought it
no,
was
I'm
done.
here.
It was just a
Cool.
little drop frame. I was like, no, he's gone. You're fine. You're fine.
Sorry, man. And so that gives you more meaningful decisions to make, how you equip your character in any given situation. And the more meaningful decisions we get, the better, right? And I think that's a big problem with Star Citizen at the moment there's still a lack of meaningful decisions to make, right?
Yeah.
And when they get there, it'll get there. I'm an optimist. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. What do you think of this is something that they tried. I think they really did. They've honestly tried to create a meaningful decision on ship death, where previously they did, we're going to raise the claim timers. You remember that? And people
Yes.
raged. And like, I think that their heart was in the right place, but obviously the game still has so many issues. There are easy ways to create those, and it's like raise the claim timers. It's expensive to die, all these things. But what do you think of that in the current state of the game? I think all those things can easily work in a more finished Star Citizen, but it's kind of it feels weird to do it now, but it also might help. I don't know.
I had a
I've had
similar
these conversations a
conversation.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a conversation with a bunch of guys that I play with, and they, I'm for that kind of stuff when the game is stable. But now you're talking about
Yeah.
like very sort of heavy gameplay decision making things that they need to figure out, right? It's like, at what point does dying not feel shitty, right? And that's a hard thing to pull off, right? I mean, if you've played games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring and stuff like that, where death is a part of the game, it's part of this like learning experience, and you've got to evolve and get better as you go on. You got to learn the game. You got to play the game. In Star Citizen, dying to a bug is going to feel shitty, and nobody wants that. But from my perspective, dying to something that you didn't plan for or didn't account for, or somebody came out of nowhere, or you didn't put some kind of contingency in place, and that ended up in you dying. And dying has like a deeper meaning, right? Like maybe I would agree that maybe soon, maybe when things are more stable, make claim times much longer.
Yeah.
But until that sort of time, it's like there's too much stuff getting in the way of regular gameplay to make that make sense right now. But I would be so for it when the game is stable, and when you have meaningful decisions to make to help prevent your death, so that when you die, it's more like oh man, goddamn, that was an epic kind of thing, versus like F this game, Alt F4, rage quit, like, and off you go.
In prison for 12 hours, no
Yeah.
head, I give up. Right? So like believe it or not, there are horrible consequences to dying in Star Citizen right now. It's called prison. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the prison system. I love the idea that this is like taken into account, and like you literally, and I mean, yes, at the moment it's a night ender for some people. I haven't played enough with the new prison features. I actually don't know how it works. I think a friend explained it to me. It's like you got to go to a dark zone or something and like kill some people, and off you go. So it's not for the people who understand the mechanic of how prison is going to work in 3.18. They will be in and out very quickly. But for most people, it's like, man, I don't want to walk down to depth 9 and
Yeah.
just hold W for the next 30 minutes like that. I'm out kind of a thing, you know. But I'm a fan of it, right? I like the consequences of people's actions, right? Yes, it's going to suck if you didn't mean to get the crime stat or somebody trolled you into getting the crime stat. That's horrible. But like, what can you do, man? It is what it is. Like, just
Yeah.
roll with the punches.
Sure. The only thing that I don't like about it is it does feel like I think it's more of a community sentiment around it where if you don't like you see a lot of the PvPers or like quote unquote griefer type players, and we can get into that conversation since you kind of wanted to a little bit, where the community will not feel bad for the situation in prison being so broken because they deserved it. And it's like nobody deserves to play the game like with the complete broken mechanics that don't work and literally ruin the experience. Like if you send someone to prison, you've won, right?
Yeah.
And they don't come back for a little while. Like that is the I won scenario, and that's fine. The but when they can't even get out and it's just complete like no head, like I'm done, I have to recopy my account.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother scenario. Nobody deserves that, is how I feel.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about griefing wise?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this conversation's been going on in the space for a long time. I don't really get involved too much in these types of discussions, but like again, so actually it was, you know, that salvage video where I think it was Space Cutlet. They kind of hit us mid tutorial while I was like learning about salvage. Like what a great experience. Like I that is the kind of shit that I live for in this game. It was so cool. And now this is the thing, right? The guy that I was playing with, it's not fair. He's like great guy that I play with every now and then, and it's like he's like cool, yeah, it's Space Cutlet, and I'd heard of Space Cutlet. I knew that he was affiliated with Moist Doodle in some way, and so I checked him out after everything happened. They were like, oh, like here's the VOD kind of a thing. Like now we can see this from their perspective. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So we watched the VOD, and immediately like myself and Fair were like, this is so sad because they're so jaded. Because what they do is, I think they're pirate, they're active pirates. All they do is piracy, right? Which is fine. That's great. Power to them. And when they rolled up on us and they had us locked down and they knew that we were either in the ship or floating around or something, he kept on saying like, oh, they've initiated self-destruct. I'm probably going to die. As he's busy EVAing towards the ship. And I'm just like, that is so sad. Yep. That is because that's been their experience. Every time they've hit people, they've just self-destructed or fucked off, or like, you know, Alt F4 or held backspace or whatever it is, you know. And that's, I don't know if it's just a different perspective or what it is, but it's like I find that so weird, you know. Myself and Fair were immediately like, oh, dude, this is so cool. We're being pirated. Like, get your gun. Like, I'm going to EVA. Let's see if we can like counterfight, you know, like whatever it is. Best experience, like the most fun thing. But the thing, I'm not talking shit about casual players. I'm not talking shit about people who don't want to get pirated. Like, do you? But like, I find if you don't want to protect your goods or take the actions necessary to protect your haul, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, figure this stuff out. So, and I don't know if that's the sentiment that a lot of people share, but it was just sad to see them approach us. We're so hyped that we're getting pirated, and they're like, man, they've probably already activated self-destruct, man. Like, let's go find another hit kind of a thing. Like, I don't know. To me, that's just, it's crazy. Sad. It really is crazy. Yeah, it's very sad.
And I had the opposite experience. They hit me and Morph at Xenothreat, and they softed us and then immediately killed us. So it just ended. I didn't get to have that. I had the, oh my God, it's happening hype moment. They're gonna board. I do have a gun. I'm ready to protect myself. And then he killed me. I was so upset. And I just went, yo, that was cringe. And they made a video of me like calling them cringe or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, it was cringe. We could have had a lot of fun there and we didn't get to have any fun.
So I mean,
we talked about
that's something that I find that's a bit weird that they introduced a soft death system with so many people are so happy about the soft death system. I've experienced it like once or twice. Like whenever I explode, I'm dead. And I'm like, what the fuck? But the soft death thing is great, right? It emulates the future to a degree. That's like placeholder or whatever, but it's a step in the right direction. I think many people will agree with that.
I think it's a big weird leap.
It's huge. But why go and make it so that if I just keep on shooting you, you're gonna hard death then? I just found this out like the other day, and it blew my mind. I was like, okay, hold on. If the person doesn't want to soft, it's up to them to decide. Once they've blown you up once, you can now be dead, and it's like, well, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
If that's their goal, I mean, I guess if there is, if the cargo matters enough to them, or if there's, you know, a reason, you know, sure. But like, I find that that's a little bit. It might make experiencing soft death less likely if people know that they can just delete you after you've soft deaths. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it just comes down to most people are I don't know if it's most, all right? Because it's so hard to tell what most people feel because the vocal majorities or minorities are out there yelling, and that's all you really hear, right? Like, I literally see spectrum threads of people saying delete PvP, like, entirely. You're just like,
Yeah.
what? Like, go, what are
So
you
the thing
doing?
is, dude, like, if you look at it at another MMO, any other like healthy MMO that's been around for a long time, you will. And I mean, this is just anecdotal from my
Are
point
there
of view.
any
I
healthy
don't really.
MMOs?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to
Do
reference World
they
of Warcraft, but
exist?
like, yeah. I mean, it's such a done and dusted sort of thing, and nobody seems to be able to get it right. And like, you know, it's the same trail, right? A game comes out and it's hype, and then it kind of just trails off after a while. And I mean, that's it. It's that way. So if you were to look at something like World of Warcraft, people would say like, I think this is the average person's understanding is like a large portion of the player base just want to play the game casually, do their thing, have fun, grind a bit, whatever. It's a much smaller percentage of players who are actively engaging in PvP or want to, you know,
Yep.
do this type of player interaction where it's like typically a negative experience for somebody at the end of the stick, right? But then that becomes kind of a different discussion. Like, in order for certain people to have fun in a game online, does somebody else have to suffer? You know what I mean? It's like, this is why trolling, this is why so many things exist, right? It's like, are you only going to get entertained if somebody else is not having a good day, right? And I'm not really talking about trolling. I'm just talking about like, oh, you lost the PvP match, you
Yeah.
lost the battleground, whatever it is. I don't know. And so this is another thing I actually wanted to talk about is like, I look at one of the reasons why I love Star. Another reason why I love Star Citizen so much is that you can, because hold on, I'm going all over the place now. The skill system is a thing. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit later.
We
But
could.
this is my. Let's put the skill system aside for right now. But if you have an MMO like WoW and you log into the game, there is because it's such a strict theme park MMO. There is a set amount of time that you put into the game, and there's an optimal amount of things you can do to make the most gold, for instance, right? That's your goal. You want
Sure.
to make a lot of gold. There is literally a designed linear path that you can go down. Do your dailies, do this, do that quest, blah blah blah, and you can only do that like week by week or whatever, and then you're going to average X amount of gold or whatever per hour, etc. I'm done with that kind of thing. Like, that will never excite me in any game ever again, right? That's just dull. The exciting thing about Star Citizen is you jump into the game, you don't have to level to 60 or anything like that. You could be a fresh-faced, white, sperm suit, Jumptown tourist and run into the game, and either by sheer luck or by a little bit of experience or whatever it is, within a reasonable time frame, you could hit serious pay dirt because you successfully pirated somebody, or you're in the right place at the right time. You stole somebody's ship from Jumptown, or whatever it is. Now you've all of a sudden you've got the spike in your potential income, and that is so exciting to me. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much you've played the game. If you understand a first person game and you can navigate the intricacies of Star Citizen's user experience, you can walk away with serious sort of like in-game cash, which, if that's your goal, that's a great experience, right? And I love that plays into the whole emergent sort of gameplay potential of the title.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be in-game cash. It can even go to the things that I'm always talking about where, like, I really would love to
Exactly.
see reputation play a much bigger role in the game where, yeah, there are some grinds like those. I want to bring those MMO grinds to the game. I really do.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always enjoyed where
I
I grind a reputation and I'm able to buy, like, one of the medical guy scenarios. You said, well, maybe I'm able to get a better medical gun. But if I go to the jump town with that medical gun, you can get it too. You just
yeah, yeah.
gotta get it from me. And there's opportunity there, which opens up that door where, again, no grind necessary for anything, but
I think that's a good way of putting it. Like,
you
is the
got to earn
grind
it.
necessary?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of like a reputation type of grind per se, but correct me if I'm wrong. You might know way more about this than I do. I'm not that educated on these things, but like, I would love to. I'm not against reputations, right? I love the idea of reputations. If somebody's been, I hate the word grind, to be honest with you. It's
yeah.
like
It's got a negative
to me, it's just
connotation.
like,
I
yeah,
love it, but
yeah.
yeah,
it's like I see it as like, okay, cool. There's this really ridiculously awesome Crusader ship that you can unlock and armor that you can unlock if you get to a certain tier of reputation with them. That's
Yep.
fine. Do you have to smash your head against the wall day in and day out for like a year to get there? Or does it naturally and organically kind of flow with whatever gameplay systems are in place at the time? You know what I mean? Like that would be great. But then is it exclusive? Does it, like maybe exclusive is the wrong word, but is it then, because even though I hate grinding and I hate that idea of this reputation grind, I do love the idea of people working, putting effort in and getting something unique and cool for their time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they take things.
I love the emergent gameplay styles of things like Jumptown and Security Post Korea, but I also feel that for a game to last, there has to be real things to reach for, and it for an MMO, those things, the commodity there is time. And you have to put in time and you have to put in effort to reach those goals. What those
Yeah.
things look like exactly in Star Citizen, I'm not sure what the right answer is. I'm not a game dev. I don't know what the best thing to do. But I always do look at it as like, all right, well, I want to go down the mining route, and the best mining lasers, or maybe we don't go the best, because then we're starting to get down into that blue purple kind of scenario. But the best one for this situation is at this level of reputation, I can then purchase it. But it's going to take me a lot of, making, going out there, finding titanium, finding all these things to get to that point. I know that's not ideal for a lot of people, but the other end of that, where everybody should be able to go into their lane and earn money. This is where money can really come into play finally for Star Citizen, is everyone can go
Mhm.
into their lane and earn money the way they want to, whether yours is Jumptown and mine is mining. At the end, if you decide that I want to get that really good mining laser, you buy it from off a marketplace, you buy it from me individually. You've earned your money and I've earned my money my way, and we're both happy. And I've
Mm.
seen that in that's how I've played other MMOs. For a lot of the time that I played MMOs, I was the merchant person
Yeah.
most of the time. And then I started to get a little bored with that, and then I started jumping into PvP and got like pretty like heavy into that. But it's a choice thing, and the grind isn't made by you then, because it doesn't feel like a grind. You made your money
100%.
having fun in your way. Somebody else grinds, and then you
Yeah,
can
that's a cool
purchase
perspective,
it.
and then you've got
Yeah,
like this proper economy kind of player driven economy kind of thing going on, right? Like with
yeah,
your
with quotes
railgun
around it,
business.
probably.
Yeah,
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 because
yeah,
we
yeah.
obviously have quantum and these other things where it's not going to be fully player run, but
Mm.
it's going to be so hard to find like the perfect balance. Like the word grind
Yeah,
obviously is a bad
100%.
thing, and in the end, if you're going to play an MMO for 10 years, there's going to have to be something that takes years to reach to.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, the emergent gameplay can hold, but how long do you like? That's a good question for you, since you enjoy it so much. How long can it hold you for? Yes, your experience is different every time, but how long can you go to Jumptown for
Yeah, no,
before it
it's
gets
true.
boring? I'm not
It's
bored of
true.
it yet, but
I'm
it might eventually.
you're right. It's like, but then like what actually changes, right? If 3.18 goes live tomorrow, and we're your background, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. They do that sometimes.
Uh, um, if 3.18 went live tomorrow, and you're a pirate and you want to hit salvage guys, and there's like very frequently you can run into like a reclaimer that is just stacked with RMC, and it's like this is cool kind of a thing. That could also get stale after a while. But like I think that there's enough like physicalization and fidelity in the game that no two situations are ever truly the same, right?
Yeah.
And anything can really happen, right? Say, boom, you get a crime step. Now there's bounty hunters after you. Situation gets more complicated, that kind of thing. Jamtown is obviously different. It's 3 static locations over the system, and it's like I think throughout the year that I started making content, there was like one particular week or 2 week period that Jumptown was live, and I was just like, man,
I'm
more
hooked.
Jumptown. Like,
Yeah.
no, no. I was like, like, can I really go and do that? Like, I wasn't really feeling it,
Oh,
kind of
I
a thing.
understood.
Yeah, yeah. There was like one or two times that it ran, right, where I was just like, man, is this really that exciting right now? And
We baited
yeah,
them.
it's yeah, it is. I'm super fucking hyped for Jumptown 2.1 or whatever you want to call it, where there's now 2 dispensers, and are we going to be
Yeah.
able to make like double the cash? And that's super flippin' exciting. I
Yeah,
cannot
the
wait for that.
situation just it changed
Yeah,
again. So it's like a whole
yeah.
new thing. It's great.
And they didn't make the biggest changes. It's not like they upgraded Jumptown and they said, okay, cool, now it's above Crusader or something, which
Yeah.
would be cool. I mean, they could do that, right? But I mean, I think these poor guys over at this company are
I mean,
always torn
technically it
between.
is. It's called
Yeah,
Security
yeah.
Post Korea.
Oh, true, 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 true. Yeah. These poor guys that work on this game are I think they're constantly torn between balancing. This might be obvious to a lot of people, but they're constantly torn between balancing the game for what is available to players today
Yeah.
and what they're actually trying to fucking achieve one day, right? And I mean, I don't that is not an enviable position for anybody, dude. That is so tricky.
Yeah.
But
And
I
from if I
personally
could
feel
jump
they could do
in,
better.
if I could jump in real
Sorry,
quick. Yeah, I also
sorry.
do. And no, it's totally fine. That's sort of where I've been over the last 5 years was, hey guys, you're really focused on the end game, what Star Citizen will be, and that's all you're developing for. But we're all here, we're looking around and we're going, yo, this is pretty cool. Like, throw us a bone, man. All I've been saying for the last 5 years is just throw me a fucking bone, please. And slowly but surely, like, it was a scrap, it was like a chicken bone that was like broken into pieces, and now it's starting to become like an actual like milk bone, like dog treat. Like there's stuff there that we can really sink our teeth into, which is exciting. And that's where I've been, and where the salty attitude and the negativity and all these things have come from is like, yo, just throw me a bone. And I feel like they're starting to now, and that's a good feeling. It really feels
Yeah.
good for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I think, like we said before, it's like it feels like 3.18 is really that patch where there was a phase where I think a lot of people were saying like, man, Pez isn't even that big of a deal. Like it's kind of it's just going to have persistence will just be a thing. But like
Yeah.
from what my personal experience, what I found is like every time, even if you go and do the most mundane thing in the game, there's this like trace of somebody before you, and then you kind of get excited, like, shit, what was he wearing? Like, is his body
Is
somewhere
he
around
in
here now?
there?
You could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, is he in here? Did he have a railgun? Like, fuck, like this could be cool.
Yeah.
So it kind of, but again, this is not something that's going to happen all the time. It's not going to be something that is consistent. To the thing, I think I got a comment on a video the other day was um like, you better be careful because you're going to make people think that this game is fast paced, which it absolutely is not, right? It's like, I think he was referring to the style of
Like
my editing and the fast paced
fast
nature of one
cuss.
of my videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, which and this is the thing. One of the reasons why I started to even do the YouTube thing in the first place is because the second to second, and I'm going to quote Day Nine here because if you've ever watched him
He's a
talk about
god.
games, like
Yeah.
yes, he's pretty elite in that sense. The way he talks about like second to second gameplay, minute to minute gameplay, hour to hour gameplay. The second to second gameplay in Star Citizen is pretty fucking redundant sometimes. Like, it's really not entertaining or exciting, right?
No.
Which is, is it problematic? I don't know. Is it immersive? Yeah, to a degree. It depends on what kind of state of mind you're in, and if you're into that kind of thing at the moment, right? Like, I remember making comments about like, I think I made an old video that was like, oh, this is how you can like save time in this game, right? Like do things like this. When you're in the elevator, open up your thingy and like call ahead so that your hangar door's already open by the time, little things like this.
Yeah.
And I get comments like, that's not the point of the game, man. Like we're here to be immersed. We're here to we're here to stand in the elevator. Like I want to feel like I'm there, kind of a thing. Which, I mean, dude, more power to you. That's cool. But for a lot of people, they don't have that much time, and
Some of my
how much
community
can you really invest?
some of my community may be familiar with this comment. Star Citizen, I don't know if you know. It's legally a sim. It was you know, registered with the UK government as a simulator. So
Okay.
please, so this is an actual YouTube comment that was written on my in my YouTube comments. Please, SaltEMike, do not add gameplay to my sim. That is what they that was what they said. It is legally a sim.
I mean,
So
have these?
we make a joke about that occasionally, and it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
yo, relax, buddy. Okay, you play the
yeah.
game. You open the elevator when you want. All right, but I'm gonna open the door when I want. It's gonna be okay. You'll be all right.
I mean, I'm not a big sim guy. I never came from these like, and I feel like Star Citizen is doing a good balance at keeping it simulator-esque in the sense of like, I mean, I've played the games with real life friends who I've like tried to get them to play. And I mean, they're not having any part of this. It's like it's too that they will not give a shit about this game until there's a degree of permanence, right? Until what they do in the game is going to last, right? That's their mentality, which is fine. But even for them, it's like, oh, I've got to. He gets into a turret, for instance, and it's like he's like, okay, dude, it's not working. It's like, okay, well, dude, is it turned on? It's like, oh fuck, you got this fucking game, bro. Like, I've got to turn on the goddamn turret. Like, fuck. And it's like, is that kind of simmy? I mean, yeah, I mean that's like 1% of a hardcore sim, right?
Yeah.
It's a minuscule amount of like simulated behavior. I don't really play the DCS type games and stuff like that, but and that is insane. That is like it's and people who enjoy that 100% go for it. What I find in Star Citizen is that from my perspective, they're doing a pretty good job of balancing the amount of sim versus the amount of game, right? And I think that's right. It's not too arcadey, it's not too simulatey. I think it falls nicely in between somewhere. I could be.
How do you feel of like trams and that's my biggest complaint. That's what I hear most people complain about.
My opinion on
the cities are kind of a bit much.
They're meh. I mean, they never bothered me because I've been playing a lot of 3.18, and obviously there's lots of server wipes and sorry, every patch resets the state or whatever.
Yeah, so we're there a lot now.
Yeah. I would say I'm a little bit jaded in the sense that because I've been playing a lot of 3.18, I'm sick of doing the shuttle ride to wherever on Horizon or whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of over it at the moment. But again, if we look further forward, there's and I mean now they're talking about interiors in Lawville
Buildings.
and adding all that kind of stuff, which that blew my mind. I was like, man, that I would be okay if that only came in 10 years and you guys got Pyro out before that. Like that would be fine. Like but I see the potential, right? If they get the foundation correct, and now you can just dynamically spawn cool missions that every now and then you'd rock up to an apartment building and there'd be like a firefight or something to steal or something like that. Yeah, cool. That'd be great.
I just want my apartment, my space apartment.
Yeah. I mean I want the hangar, the whole persist, like a place where you can just feel safe and like load your stuff, prep your stuff. Yeah.
Going back to the old hangar, man, where the amount of ships you had, the hangar extended, and it was
that was
like,
crazy.
Some of these people it was going at negative frames per second. It was like eating the sun's power. There was so much and they just see all the way down the end of the hangar. It felt like that was supposed to be your home, and it does sort of feel like we're going in a bit of a different direction here, maybe, or just one of the options is an apartment, but maybe you can live in your hangar. I don't know.
It's mind bending to think that I mean, I don't know. Would that be instanced? Would that be physicalized? I don't. If
I'll place a bet that hangars are going to be instanced. Yes.
Yeah. It's like you go through a magic lift and now you're gone.
Yeah, like to the point where like if you sneak on my elevator, I still don't think you're going to be able to get into my hangar, which I think some people would be quite upset about. But I would be willing to place bets that at least the initial implementation, that's how it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's interesting times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
this game.
Yeah, what do you think about these like mining missions, salvage missions, things like that? I know we've been kind of touching on all that. Do you think they're going to have the same feel as something like Jumptown? Do you think they might be spreading us out a little bit too much? Because the one special thing about Jumptown is when Jumptown's live, the whole server's there, or a good portion of the server is there. But now we're going to have options.
I mean, because I love Jumptown so much, I love the idea of incentivizing people on the server. If you don't want to, because a lot of people are like that, man. Oh, Jumptown's live, good. All those pirate fucks are now gone.
Yeah.
Screw those guys, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Cool, that's fine. But to spread it out more, I mean, it all depends on the incentivization. Like, what's the carrot at the end of the stick, kind of a thing, right? And I think what you're referring to is the salvage. Like, you get missions, and then there's like a salvage claim that you can either make yours.
You purchase the location, but everyone else is also able to purchase the location.
Okay.
So now you have buy-in, and now you're in. Like, this is the one thing that I think was missing from Jumptown.
Yes,
is you now have
there's no risk
to win, because you don't want to lose your buy-in. I hope the buy-in's not the buy-in to like
5,000 credits or something. Yeah.
No, it's got to be hefty. It's got to be like 200-300K for people to want to fight over it.
It sounds exciting. It sounds like they're on the right path theoretically. How these things end up in practice, man, like, day one, somebody's going to find some weird ass exploit glitch type thing. Yeah, 100%. At face value, it sounds great, and I can't wait to engage with that type of content. It'll be fantastic. Especially if it does, if your buy-in is like pretty decent, like you can't just rock up and have this money lying around, and that's the cool thing, right? Friends could like pool money together, do the thing, and then off they go. That would be super cool, right? And with every type of thing where they're just like, our interaction as the developers is just putting it out there and allowing you to click a button to say yes or no, right? That's what Jumptown is essentially. It's like, yes, I want to go there, or no, I don't want to go there. And then the rest is all up to you, man. Like if the salvage is worth it, and if again, it's tricky because it's we've had these discussions about like, is money enough? Do people care about money enough? What? I think the majority of people that are playing the game today, they're playing the game because they want to experience cool shit, right? I think it's something that Zero State says quite often. It's like, something happened to me in Star Citizen this week that happens in no other game. He's got some famous quote or something that he says.
Yep.
And I think that's true to a degree, right? And that's why I play the game, because like your crazy shit will happen. It might not happen, but it can happen. And when it does happen, it's fucking amazing. It's the best.
Yeah.
So if these types of missions that you've spoken about, if they can lead to more situations like that, bro, it's going to be epic.
I'm dying for it, but just because of the buy-in, I feel like people are going to fight over it more, and it's going to get really, really sweaty, and it's going to get crazy. And the other thing is, for me, I feel like going back to the griefer comments and things like that, there's been so much of this is, I didn't sign up for this PvP. This is non-consensual. I don't like that. This is consensual. Exactly, like Jumptown is consensual. I get called a griefer at Jumptown too, but like these people, I can't help you if you're going there and you're getting upset when you're getting shot at. You're a lost soul at that point. But the people who are signing up for these things, they know what they're getting into. And the other missions are a little bit safer. You want to be left alone. You want to go do your little, mine titanium and not quantanium. Go ahead. But the quantanium stuff, we're going to fight over it. And I like that. So now there's the argument that the griefers or the PvPers have always made, well, bring protection. It never made sense to bring protection when less than 1% of the time I saw somebody. Now, I know what I'm getting into. I'm going to bring protection, and it makes sense. You're going as a group. Orgs are starting to form, right? Like, I know that's like some heavy copium huffing, but it just seems to make sense to me that those things are possible and that they could happen at least occasionally. Like, we're not going to have org battles over like Everus Harbor or like something that you would see in EVE anytime soon. But at the very least, we can have miniature versions of that occasionally. Yeah, that was me the last time I talked about something like this. So yeah, it's that's how I look at it. It's just the casual player gets to be casual now and be left alone, and the one who wants to take the risk and gain the reward actually has that ability now. And and it just feels right.
I don't want it to sound like I've been shitting on casual players like since I started. I don't know if it's come across that way, but it's like, because I mean, to a degree, you if you see things from their perspective, as you just said now, it's a case of like, it's non-consensual PvP. Like, I don't want to like, because is it your right? Is it somebody's right or privilege or however you want to call it to join a game, and then even if it is an online MMO like Star Citizen, are they allowed to never have to interact with somebody else, right? And I think as time goes on, the devs will put these things in place where it's like, oh, is it a high sec system? Is it this? Is it that? You can literally play the game harassment free and have a good time. And even, could you even min max your life at that point in time in the game? I don't know. These are complicated
I
questions,
hope
I guess.
not. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
whole
To
thing
to
around
a
it.
degree, right? Yeah.
Is you should
Um,
be in Haven getting your low level stuff and money. You're not the big pot of gold cannot be in those places. The pot of
yeah,
gold's
yeah.
going to be in Pyro, and you know
Or,
what you're signing up for when you go through that jump gate, and that's it.
yeah.
And that's
Or,
okay.
or maybe that pot of gold can be in those places, but the pot of gold gets smaller very quickly because everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what Quanta will allow for. Who knows?
Good point.
But it's the incentivization and the carrot on the stick kind of thing. But this is the thing, right? With the casual player base, you can't, because they will always outnumber the people who want to PvP and want to have player interactions, right?
Yeah.
And this is a thing I think with a game like DayZ, right? Before that game kind of came out and was super mainstream, I was kind of paying attention to it and I was very, very excited for it. And I love the idea of this like open world apocalypse thing where you play with a couple of friends and you kind of survive and stuff. But what happened, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't looked into this game in ages, but the problem was that the zombies weren't enough of a threat. The PvE element of the game, which was the zombies, weren't enough of a threat. So it became a kill on sight, PvP fest, right?
Yeah.
Very dangerous game.
More recently, they've gotten a lot
is
tougher.
it?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Within the last like
But
6 months.
yeah, because that was one of those early games where like this emergent gameplay started to go sort of trend online or whatever. You could find footage of like somebody literally getting robbed, right? Like they were using VoIP and they were like, get on the ground, like, and they didn't kill him or anything like that because there was no incentive not to, but they didn't, and it made for this incredible emergent experience of this guy getting robbed in a game, right? And he was on the ground and they looted his body or whatever, and they didn't kill him, they just robbed him. That's a pretty incredible experience in my opinion, because it's like all games are just COD clones where you just want to shoot the guy, or Counter-Strike, whatever, and it's just you kill on sight, right? And Star Citizen is like that to a degree, right? To the point where anybody not looking for player interactions, when they do encounter somebody else, they're going to kill on sight because they don't want to risk dying at that point in time. And I think that's because of the setting of Star Citizen, because you've got this the science fiction world where they can do whatever they want and kind of make it make sense in the game. Is how do CIG make it so that it is so that you're incentivized, so that you're not necessarily going to kill on sight every time you interact with somebody.
Yeah.
Because as much as I feel like I'm not the most casual of players, the casual players need to have their fun time as well. You can't like ignore what they want. And if a large portion of the community is screaming out and saying, man, getting pirated sucks, and if you come near me, you're griefing, which is that's a bit of an extreme position to be in. But
you know where it has to start? With VoIP. VoIP has to work consistently.
100%. Yeah.
That is where DayZ had success in a lot of those cases. Is VoIP gives you the opportunity to obviously people, I'm friendly, and then blast you. But, and so nobody trusts each other in DayZ. But VoIP working is a hugely valuable tool for situations like this and making it better. That's where you start. Obviously, where you're going is we got to create like the base of the game and create that trust and stuff for people in other ways. But I think it has to start, like you could do it quote unquote now with VoIP. I mean, I assume they tried, don't succeed. Well.
My what I think is happening is a lot of the times, like whatever services that aren't directly, call them third-party services, whatever, they're just not working all the time. Like those, whatever servers are handling those things, they just tend to be as unreliable as the servers that the game runs on. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate, and it's a what it is now kind of thing. And it's not me going, you have to fix this, but like if we want those things, it starts with VoIP, right? Yeah. It's as simple as like you get to. I think the best, we haven't talked much about it yet, and I'd love to dive into it. Security Post Cray is like my 318 thing. I cannot wait. And the fact that you could be going there to kill the bad guy, but the bad guy could pretend to be like, there's just good opportunities there for
Mm.
communicating with each other and talking to each other and talking down the threatening scenario. Like, all right, man, like, listen, you leave me and I'll give you these boxes that I've taken out of the container. They're worth a lot, right? I'll give you the Pico with the drugs inside, the rare Pico or whatever. So
Yeah.
there's opportunities there for those kind of things. And my experiences with SPK in 318 have been like literally god tier every time I've gone. It's just
Yeah.
interactions have been good. I was the pirate, and my party member took the mission to kill me. And other people that took the mission to kill me, he's got a carrot over his head. He looks safe. He's talking to them, distracting them. So I blast both of them, and we're good. And then we're going and grabbing the boxes again, right? Like, there's just good opportunities there for double crossing, and the opposite, grouping up with random people you didn't know to get the guy that's inside, right? And VoIP does all of that. It's just
I kind of forgot a little bit about SPK because when I finally got back and was able to like play SPK consistently, I went there solo over and over and over and over again, dude, just smashing my face against this thing. It is Jumptown is soloable from my experience. It is some of the best experiences in gaming that I've had when you go to Jumptown and you solo it and you manage to steal from people or whatever it is that you do. Great. Soloing SPK has been like 36 times harder, dude. It is like, logistically, it's more difficult. The fact that the turrets are a thing, the fact that the AI is a thing, and the AI is so fucking scary. I don't care what people say, like, oh no, the AI is fucking brain dead. That's what makes it scary, because you never know when they're just going to fucking snap onto you and like murder you.
You get comfortable.
Yeah. There's no middle ground. The AI is either brain dead or they're assassins that are just going to end your life. Yeah.
So you basically, like, you just make decisions that you wouldn't make in other video games. You don't hide behind cover. You just walk around and you're like, oh, NPC, blast them, easy. And then all of a sudden, there's one behind you that decided to wake up, and you were like, oh, come on, really? So yeah, they make you comfortable, and you make bad decisions because of it. But I mean, the guard, we could talk about that if you want. Talk about usefulness. This is one of the things that I was talking about.
Yes.
The big heavy guards at the bunkers and at SPK, you got to blast them for a while. And like, that's sort of, I think we need a middle ground, not exactly that, but armor needs to be more useful, right? And all these other things. And like, I want the opportunity to feel like when I go to use heavy armor, there's trade-offs. Like, I'm going to be a little bit more bullet spongy or a lot more bullet spongy, but I can't run or whatever, right? And
you can't fly a ship now because you've got heavy armor on or something like that. Yeah.
And they've talked about that. Like that's probably going to be a bit of a rude awakening for some people flying light fighters and things like that, right? Is you might not be able to rock heavy armor anymore. So why you go with certain things. I just can't wait for those moments. But when I go to SPK and fight the guard, I'm like, I think we need to experience that on our end a little bit. Maybe not to that extent, but yeah.
I'm excited, man, because I know you've been kind of easing off on the amount of times you're actually going to SPK. You want to kind of wait for live. So like, respect to that, man. That's cool.
Barely playing the game right now. And like, I'm kind of like, thank you for what you're doing, and other people like you and Kate have been my go-to for content, because I'm experiencing the game through you, but I still am. So like, I'm enjoying it, but I don't want to play it because I just want 318 to be a really good experience to start the wipe with, and that I play it a lot and I just dive into it and just sink my teeth in, and that's it. I don't want to play any other games. I want to play 318, and I just don't want to play it in a PTU scenario where my choices matter less. I know, like, in the grand scheme of everything now, they don't matter much, but it's a brand new wipe. There's new ships to buy. An
exciting time.
Yeah, you can create. I like to do like 0 to hero stuff, so you can create rules and give yourself your own restrictions to make the game a little bit more fun. And I plan on doing a lot of that. So yeah.
Speaking of those kind of restricted, my plan, and I'll just like say what it is. Like, I did a video like this a while ago where you start with nothing but like even just your medical gown. Get an account with 0 money on it, and you just have your medical gown, and then see how far you can go. Like I want to try and do like a series of something like that, but we'll see.
No ship.
But yeah, no ship, no nothing.
I've
You
done
start
that.
with.
You're
Is it
gonna love
really?
it. You're gonna love it. I didn't do the
Yeah.
medical gown. I did the flight suit, just the flight suit, no
Is it?
gun,
Yeah.
no med pen.
Yeah, you might have to EVA, so you might have to compromise and get a flight suit,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
'cause
100%.
and just reaching out to people saying, "Hey, you need a turret
It's
gunner," and you start and you just meet other people and just like the the weird people that are out there. You get to talk to them, and it's just
yeah.
weird in a good
I
way.
mean,
I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just you get to meet all sorts of different people, and it was a cool experience to have. I did it once. It is a bit hard. Sometimes you're sitting there just like begging, like anybody. Crickets.
exactly. It takes hours, and I wanted to make content for this. And for me, I'm not doing it live like you, right? Because I don't know if streaming will ever be a thing that I would do. I'm way too like anxious and like I don't know if it would work for me. But
you're doing it
just
right
trying to
now.
record the footage. No, there's no chat on my screen. It's just me and you here, dude.
Oh, you kept the chat closed. See, a lot of people don't do that. You're smart. You did it the right way. Keep the chat closed. Screw those guys. They're the worst anyway.
Exactly the same kind of concept, medical gown, beg for a lift somewhere, but then instead of like being the gunner and trying to make some money, I murdered the guy and started a ship and then went off to go do missions.
Nice. No, for
but
me,
that took forever.
I had no ship, and I had to earn a ship through doing missions with other people. That's what I did.
Yeah, I want to do stuff like that at 3.18. That's going to be great. But so to backtrack a little bit onto SPK, yeah, dude. Like the other day, we just wanted to go and get. We had a buddy. We wanted to just go and do something in the game. I can't remember what we wanted to do, but one of us had a crime stat, so we had to go to SPK first, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge discussion for a lot of people, right? It's like, fuck, if you get a crime stat now, you are boned. Like, what do you do? Because just clearing that crime stat can be a huge pain in the ass. And if you don't put the comma ray down, your crime stat goes even higher. And I mean, the first time I went there, I was like, screw the comma ray. You know, disabling that thing's for noobs, dude.
How many murders did you have?
And you sit there, dude, and like this list, you start scrolling down that list on the crime stat hacker thing, and you're just like, man, what the hell is this, dude? Like, this is not feasible, kind of thing. But that's a cool thing, right? Now you've got a meaningful decision to make.
Stream clearing, I think 50 or 100 murders. It wasn't even just one day. It was 2 days of SPK's worth of murders I did, and I was like, let's see how long it takes. And people were like, this is so boring, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, let's just see. 318's not coming anytime soon. Relax.
Yeah.
You know?
We need a dismiss all button on the SPK terminal now, like not just our inventory. I mean, we went there just to clear the guy's crime stat, and while we were there, I noticed that the contraband thing had already been activated.
Oh, okay.
And they just want to get in and out, and I'm like, no, dude, like I'm starting to tractor like Pico and Maze and like a basketball rocked up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then but now outside is chaos, right? The turrets are just blasting random shit. They're blasting things that don't exist anymore or desynced or whatever it is. But it sounds like a war zone outside. There's other guys rocking up. There's maybe a Crusader securities NPC crashing into things. It's chaos. And our buddy Fair, he brings his cutlass down, and it's like this hot situation of like, you know, and all the guy would do is clear his crime set, but I'm the guy with the tractor beam. I'm like, no, dude, hold on, and I'm busy tracking like a basketball and a Pico and like some drugs into this guy's ship, man. It's so fun, dude. Like, yes, it really is a good time. So yeah, I actually had forgotten about SPK. Like, after that, the one video I made on it, I shut my brain off to it because it was such a tumultuous experience. But now that you brought it up, I'm actually it was one of the things that I was actually most hyped for in this patch. But we will also see how the salvage thing goes. Like if the salvage wars become like this consistent thing, and every reclaimer is like a gold mine, man, it's gonna be super fun times.
Hell yeah! Are you gonna do anything like racing or any of the more like non-combat, like bring people together and see what happens kind of stuff?
I used to fucking love racing so much because this is now, you're talking 2015.
Like the Arena Commander racing days?
The Arena Commander race, yeah. I remember getting onto like I don't even know if it was Discord back then, it was some app, and it was these guys from California who had started like this racing thing, and they were having like competitions and stuff, and I smashed New Vanderval or whatever it's called, because I won that, not that, I think you could have rented it with Rec back at the day, but I won a 350R from CIG for like a thing way back in the day, and I've got this 350R, and when I won it, I was like, I'm going to fucking race now all the time.
Yeah.
And but the fight model was so different back then that there was no drift, there was no, everything was
They were
so
so
different. And
snappy. It was sick.
it
I
was so
loved it.
exactly
I
that's the
loved
word,
it.
snappy. Yes, it was so snappy, dude, and so
It's like a
precise.
Formula One car.
Yes, and I remember like constantly, and I think there were a couple of names that popped up that I was trying to compete against, and people like I was in that bracket of like
Yeah.
what people were getting. Not I wasn't doing the best. I was like kind of encroaching on that sort of
The
territory.
best I got was
And
17th. That's the best I can
so,
do.
wow, yeah. I got to a point where with these guys from California, whoever they were, they'd organized this like little competition. And we were all in Arena Commander doing a live like proper race, dude. And I
Oh,
remember playing
wow.
that, and fuck, it was so cool. But then, and it was actually everything was working, right? The game was still pretty kind of jank back then, and there were like issues. But for the first like 3 minutes of the race, or like not even 3 minutes, like 20 seconds of the race, it felt so good because people were like overtaking each other, and like it was brilliant. But and then since I think I completely spun out and crashed, and I was about to come like second or third. If I'd broken whatever was happening in that race, I could have actually won. So there was like a flight suit or something that they had as like a little pack thing, that like one of these racing flight suits or something.
Nice.
And I lost, and I was like, I crashed, and everybody else carried on going, and I was like, man, fuck. And then I kind of gave up on racing since then.
Oh
So
my
I was
God.
into the race. No, dude, I was like, man,
It
because I
ruined
tried. I
it.
think I woke up at like 4 a.m. to race with these guys because the time zone differences and stuff, and it was crazy. But yeah, I completely crashed out, and then since then I kind of just ignored racing for the longest time. But now that the stuff's coming back into the game, I would definitely try and pick it up again. The last racing I did do was for the one ship review video that I did, and poking the XGR guys, asking them questions, that kind of stuff. Not that my reviews are actually informative or anything like that. It's more just for like the jokes or whatever. But amazing community of races, man. I
They
acknowledge it, and I think
deserve
it's
the praise that they're
big,
getting.
hugely, dude.
Hard.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It,
And I would love to
so
get into
much.
it, but yeah, time and just ability to play the game is also, like I'm got a job. I can't do this all the time, kind of thing. I would love to transition to into more of a mainstream kind of full time thing, but like I think that's still a ways away. We'll see how things go. I don't know, but yeah, it's
How much
very
time
interesting
a
times.
week do you invest into creating content?
So I work 3 days a week, and then I've got the weekend and 2 days a week. But then I've also, I've got family, I've got a wife, I've got a kid,
Yeah.
and I need to sort of balance around that as well. So it's those 2 days a week that I really get to actually edit videos and stuff like that. I mean, dude, editing is time consuming. It is and you're always like sort of questioning, like, cool, I've got an idea, I've got a concept. How is this actually, is this even worth the time? Because
Yeah.
right now in the here and now, this seems so stupid. But then you some of the best advice I've ever gotten from like some random ass YouTuber was like, walk away from it, look at it the next day, and then poof, then your ideas kind of spiral out of control, and you can't stop sort of writing or whatever like that. So yeah, it's quite a process, man. It's really is. But I enjoy it. I love it so much. I'm a creative guy by nature, I guess. Like I'm by trade, I'm actually like a graphic and web designer type of person.
Oh, okay.
So doing this as a creative outlet for the last like year and a month or so, whatever it's been, is stupendously awesome for me. Like I've been loving it, and the fact that it is kind of trending upwards and it's doing kind of well, I don't know. I've got no meter by which to sort of really say what is happening, but it's very inspiring. Like I'm so happy that it's kind of working the way it's been working out, and we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? We'll leave it here actually, because I always get negative comments about doing this. Obviously, it's not the it's fairly lazy content, but you've seemed to have a very positive outlook on me reacting to your videos. What do you think
Dude,
about that and stuff? A lot of people have a lot of hate towards it. Again, it is not
oh, but dude,
the
it's
most I don't have to put in a ton of work for it. That's clear. But what's your
the
thought
re-
process on it? You just seem to have had a positive outlook on it, while others I don't have to repeat what they say. It's very I pretty much did already. It's just lazy.
yeah, the reaction meta, or whatever you want to call it, dude. I think
Yeah.
I mean it's been here to stay for a long time, and a lot of
Yeah.
people. The thing is, people don't follow you for starters necessarily. A majority of your view, I could be making up shit here. I don't know, But people fall in love with the creator. They don't necessarily fall in love with whatever the creator's doing, right? But that might not be the case. I don't know. Like you hear stories about people who switch games and they lose half their viewership or whatever. But I think the general consensus is that people fall in love with the personality. They enjoy seeing that person do the thing that that person likes to do, right? And this is what Twitch streaming and YouTube content creation and stuff has been like for a while. So when somebody reacts to something that has a similar that they have a shared interest in, I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like I would love to, like not that I'm a on face type of person, on screen type of person, but I don't see a problem with it. I watch a lot of React content, right? Like I'm guilty of that. Like it's a guilty pleasure, whatever you want to call it. I think it's here to stay, and if people don't like it, man, they watch something else. There's lots of other stuff to do.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like you don't
I'm not
have to
against. I would
click
never
the
be against
video.
it.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
but
Nobody's forcing you to do these things. Yeah,
the I just I just always was like I love when people react to my stuff, so I assume that people would like the same, and it isn't the same for everybody. Like there's a few
100%.
creators that have had like very negative reactions to me watching their stuff, and it's quite simple. I just don't watch your stuff anymore, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, I think sharing really cool people doing really cool things is just the right thing to do, and that's part of it for sure, and that's it.
100%. There's an efficiency degree. I'm trying to keep my finger on the Star Citizen pulse and just know what's cooking on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
And you've got like one or two creators that because you can't follow and watch everybody, right? Even though I would love to, because I love all the talent in the Star Citizen space. There's a lot of great stuff out there. But if you've latched on to like one or two guys and you enjoy what they do and you enjoy their personalities or whatever, then it's an efficiency sort of question, because now I can just like watch SaltEMike or watch this guy, watch that dude, and kind of be up to date by the end of like a couple of videos, kind of a thing. And that's cool as well. You know, there's I think there's a lot of perspectives and a lot of things to consider, right? But it's maybe I'm super biased because I think when somebody like you or Grumpy or something, like guys who react to my content, it's like, oh, cool, I woke up to 100 subscribers. That's great. That's because of the reactions, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's the other side of it that people don't really get is
Mm.
you are sharing you with people who may not know. They would have never known who
Exactly.
you were because they
Exactly.
just happen to watch me and that's what they're doing right now. And
Yeah.
now they might watch you. It's the same thing with rating on Twitch. I always say it. I'm
That's
rating
it.
somebody who's live at the time that I stream. So
Mm.
there's the opportunity that you find your new streamer, you find the person that you actually might enjoy watching more or whatever, right? And that's okay. And that's the whole point of it.
Oh, it was Astropub said something. He said, I'll tell you his exact thing. He's a big believer in a rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it is, man.
So many people are like, SaltEMike, when all these big streamers come and play Star Citizen, it's going to be so bad for you. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, that's interesting, because they have no idea what they're doing. And every time a big streamer or big stream is in the Star Citizen directory, where do they trickle down to? They trickle down to the streams who are the regulars, right? Like it's good for everyone, man. You can't look at it that way.
Do you wonder about like you just mentioned it now, but like when it comes to if Star Citizen or when or if Star Citizen does become more mainstream and these guys with huge amounts of followers sort of enter the picture, what is your current opinion of what do you think will happen in that? Sorry, I don't know if you want to talk about this shit like.
No, I think it's quite simple. Those guys are short term. They don't ever play anything long term. So those are just variety streamers, meta streamers. They'll just stream whatever the meta is for that time. I don't know if Star Citizen will ever be a meta game because it's a bit slow and it's not. Look at the meta games from the past. They're a little bit fast paced, competitive. Like we might have those elements in Star Citizen, but there's all these other things to get you to that point. So I don't know if that could ever be a thing, but let's say that it does gain some popularity. The only thing that happens is the people who I think the best example would be Captain Burks. Captain Burks played with Summit 1G, one of the biggest streamers on the platform, right? Captain Burks went from a view count of 100, 200, 300 instantly to every day for the next 5 months to being 500 plus, just because out of 30,000 people, a couple hundred found that they like this guy and they're interested in this game. That's what's going to happen. We're all going to grow. We're all going to get new and interesting and exciting followers, and the Star Citizen directory on Twitch will grow as well, right? And that'll be that.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I mean, I feel like cool. I've embarked on this journey, and it's just a matter of time until somebody who's funnier than me, somebody who's better at editing videos than me, comes along and like, okay, cool, well, cool. Now you've got options, right? It's that kind of a thing. Like I think you said in the stream a long time ago.
The thing about YouTube is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like Twitch is a competition. YouTube is I think you said that a long time ago.
Community.
Or somewhere. Yeah.
It's community. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like I could have that attitude towards you. You're making you have a comedic element to it, which I don't think I could bring to the table. But the types of videos that you and Kate make, I've always wanted to make and never could do because I just never put in the effort to do them, or didn't think I can put in the effort and actually get out the results. You show that it's possible. I could take the perspective of, fuck, man, they're doing it better than me, they did it before me, and I can beat myself up for it. Or I can get inspired by you and start going out and having fun myself, and then posting a video. And guess what? When I post a video, there might be one commenter that says, oh, you're just copying these people or whatever. That guy's a loser. Fuck that guy. Everyone else is watching your videos and watching my videos, and they're having fun, and everybody wins. Like, what is wrong with that?
100%.
You know,
100%. It's the things. Even if you were to one-to-one copy somebody's content, it's not possible, because what you're actually doing at the end of the day is you're just bringing what you have in your brain to the table. Exactly. Yeah. And now it's different. No matter what the inspiration was, no matter how closely you copied or plagiarized, it's now yours. And that is how all new things start. Yeah. I don't care what chat is saying right now, but that's how most things happen.
They're not even emulate anything.
You emulate.
DayZ is the best example of that. I found a DayZ content creator on YouTube called JLK, and he makes like movies in DayZ. It's so cool. But he copied Frankie on PC, 1080p, whatever, like that guy, and there's 500 of them that do this. And like, I choose the one I like, or or the couple that I like, but those are the guys that I watch. But I don't look at like, oh, Sour Sweet is doing the same thing as JLK. They're all friends. They play together. They make these videos together. Exactly. And then they literally post the same video from their perspectives. Like, talk about copy. They're literally posting the same video from their perspective.
Yeah.
And I'll watch both.
Exactly. And that's cool. It's like you've got this MCU now of content from different perspectives, which is, for the people who are really into it, great. They've got more content now,
Yeah, like that's where I see us going. Like, there was the other day, Space Tomato reaches out to me and he goes, hey, let's play some games together. I was like, sure, that'll be great. Let's do SBK. Have you done that yet? So I could show it to you. And he hadn't. So I was like, yes, I get to show. Oh, yeah. Right. Here we go. Yeah. And then the same morning, like an hour later, because I was sleeping when they both messaged me, Morphologist messaged me, hey, let's play. And I'm like, okay, have you done SBK yet? No. I'm like, oh, yes, this is going to be sick. And then Burke stops by the stream and he's like, I didn't get an invite. And I'm like, come on, let's go. And then my friend PC, who I play with all the time, who runs the Star Citizen Shorts YouTube channel, I was like, let's play. So like, there was like 5 of us. And then Avenger 1 comes by and was like, where was my invite? And I'm like, it's open invite. Let's go. And
that's cool.
And then we ran into like, one of the funniest moments I think Morph's ever had was we soft death a guy, and inside the ship, this guy pulls out a grenade and holds it, and he held it for too long, and it was like as Morph got there, it was perfect, So like these opportunities
great, man.
for stories are there, and it's
100%. And dude, at the end of the day, that is why I think I've played games my whole life. Is like, if you're playing a game that you really enjoy and it gives you a good story, you haven't wasted a second of your life, man. Like, that's what it's all about. It's about good stories, bro.
I put so many years into them online, and I don't regret a minute of it. Like that.
I went to SPK and I tried to throw a grenade at a group of NPCs who weren't paying attention. Well, obviously they're brain dead, and I threw the grenade. But then the grenade became a gun, and I threw my gun at them, and then I exploded.
Seriously?
There's a short of it on my channel somewhere.
Oh my
It's
God, I'm
it
gonna
was
check it out.
hilarious, dude. It was so
All
funny.
right.
Like the gun just became the grenade. Yeah. Anyway.
That's crazy. Well, Void, I think it's probably a good time to call it here. We've been going for a good hour and a half. I think that's a good length for a podcast. Is there anything you got going on? I don't know if you do like contest giveaways on your channel, anything you want to promote or anything like that. Do you have any video that's in the works that people might be excited about?
I just uploaded a video yesterday or the day before. It's not doing as well as the previous video, so go watch it. Guys
Uh,
in the chat, go watch the video.
it is different than your normal content.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
watched
yeah.
it just before this so people can get a sense of like who you were. And it is a little bit different. And that don't stress out about that stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? That's all
But
it
yeah, I
is.
mean, I've got nothing really going on. Check out VoiDude. Enjoy Star Citizen. Be happy. Be nice to each other.
That's good. That's good advice. Yeah, so VoiDude's on YouTube. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, we'll put the link in the description. If I don't know if there's any mods here, but if there are, throw the link in chat. But somebody just posted the short there. The AI grenade trick is so easy, so people can get to your channel through that way from Twitch
Oh,
right
cool.
now too.
Cheers, man.
But yeah, so thank you for stopping by. You were just in chat one day, and I was like, "Hey, let's do this. This will be fun." Because I really have been enjoying your channel, and when I tell you, I'm being honest. Like you, Kate, especially, like both you two have been inspiring me to want to get out there and play Star Citizen, guys. I have not liked playing Star Citizen for a long time, to be honest. Like it's been hard for me. You guys make it so I want to play. And like that's why I haven't been. Is like I want to get to live, I want to get these experiences, but you guys are exciting for me. You're making it so exciting for me. So thank you for what you do. And I just want to talk to you, get to know you a little better on a more personal level. Like we've obviously talked through Twitch chat forever. I'm sure I've yelled at you at some point.
Oh,
In Twitch
100%,
chat.
bro. Yeah.
Because everyone has gotten that treatment at some point.
I think I gravitated towards your channel because you're on it like odd times, right? You're not. I think you're one of the only American streamers who is on times that jive with my sort
I
of time
started
zone. So
6:30
I think that's
a.m.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm weird.
yeah.
But yeah, so again,
Well,
thank you, and I appreciate it for you coming on. This was really, really fun. And
no, thank you so much for having me, man. I really did appreciate it, and it was a privilege, man. It was cool.
yeah, all right, Void. Well,
Thanks,
that'll
man.
be that, and hopefully we'll do this again soon. Thanks for watching,
Cool.
everybody. Yeah, bye, Void. And that was Answer the Call. I hope you guys enjoyed it. He is so cool. I really, really like Void. He's super cool. He really like gets it, and he like you the passion's there, man. He really passion for gaming, passion for Star Citizen. It's there and it's real, and he shows you that it. For me, a ship meetup is not emergent gameplay. What he does and what Kate does, that's emergent gameplay. That is like, hey, we're going to go out here, we're going to do this, and we're going to try to interact with as many people as possible and see what happens. And things happen. Cool things happen. And that is VoiDude's videos. Voidy vids on YouTube. So once again, thank you, VoiDude. And yeah, hopefully we interact in games soon, right? Like that would be the goal is if we can't come across each other organically at Jumptown one time, let's do Jumptown together. That would be my one of the things that would super excite me. So thanks again for watching, guys. If you are watching this on Twitch, it'll be up on YouTube later. So you can type exclamation YouTube in chat and go to my main channel for that. If you are watching on YouTube and ever want to stop by the show, sometimes or most of the time we plan on doing call-in shows where we have a specific topic. Members from the community call in. You can check out twitch.tv/SaltEMike or discord.gg/SaltEMike where we do the calls and everything. So again, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, you sports ball fans, and I will see you all next week.